what I'm gonna do here, guys, I'm just gonna put here, I think I can actually add a breakpoint. Normally, yeah, toggle breakpoint. If I press F9, I'm gonna stop recording, which I just did right now. So, but normally you just press F9 and then you can actually enable and disable a breakpoint. So breakpoint will stop execution when it hits this block, so we can see that's working. Right, let's go back to the items base here, right? What I want to do here is we got the reference, we got everything here, we can actually do things on this, right? So right now we got the inventory reference. We don't have the player reference anymore, but we got the inventory, the BPC inventory reference. So what we can actually do in here is we can trigger this. We can call this iInventory object start interaction. So let's see if we can actually access that method. So it's going to call iInventory object start interaction. I just did a typo in there. Let me just fix this in here. Object. There you go. Just did a spell mistake in that. Object. Let me see if it's not gonna mess up with anything on the item there. With T, there you go. And on the item, there you go. With T object, there you go. Right. So now we call that. We note that we're calling the iInventory. Sorry, iInventory start object. We're calling the BPI class. Yeah. Not the message. It's calling the object interaction. When it's valid, so we're gonna call that. And what is item? So we need to pass this item here as a reference, right? In this case, is itself. So Unreal Engine has a co-variable called self that you can pass a reference of self to another one. Yeah, and let's go ahead as well and let's do the other one, which is iInventory stop interaction, which is in essence the same thing. Just gonna copy this, paste it in here. There you go. So let me open up here so I have in full tab so you guys can see what I did. Yeah. So what I did here, thing we did before to check the actor, the component has the actor, and then because this is the valid BPC inventory reference, which has attached an interface, we can start to do some logic in here once the player gets in range. So this is gonna be actor in range, actor leave range. There you go. Press play, and now the breakpoint should stop the execution. There we go. So go to execution stop. I'm just gonna remove the breakpoint. Press play again. So there you go. You have that base items. Or base item. It should be with one S, but that's fine. I'm just gonna rename this. Just gonna do my heading. Base item. There you go. Nice. So we got our interaction in there. So just to finalize this for now, let's do it so we can add and remove this. So we have those references after, and then when you press E, it will display the count. And then in the next video, we're gonna actually start to do the refinement of this. Right, so to do this, let's make it really quickly. Right, so I'm gonna get a word items to interact. Here, I am gonna call a method there called add unique. I want to make sure I will always have unique items in there. I don't want to add repeated stuff. And what I want to do here, I want to get this item again, and I want to remove item. Yeah. You can remove the item because at this point you kind of only have one, so you don't really matter. There you go. So we can actually, so it's gonna be remove player leave range, player enter range. Right. Now, what I want to do here, guys, really quickly, on the player, I just want to display how many we have in here. And the reason why I want to display on the player, because right now the player has access to those variables in here, so we can actually display to the player because it's in here is also the interaction. So what I'm gonna do here is I got the reference of the inventory. Now I need to get this word items to interact. So I'm just gonna do get word items to interact. And just to finalize, we're just gonna, for now, display the length, yeah, length of this. And I am gonna do a print, right? This is just so we can actually see that the things that we did is actually working good, right? I will come here. So if I press E right now, I have 0, yeah? If I go inside, I have 1. If I get out, I have 0. So if I also go in here and add, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4 items there, press play, I should have now 4, and then 2, and then now 0. And just to finalize, guys, so we can actually, you know, maybe do something cool for now, just to finalize the video. What we can actually do here is something like, let's say, like this, right? We're gonna do a, okay, let's create another method in that. Let's do the proper way before I finalize the video. Let's create here a custom event. Let's create a custom event, right? In this event, we're gonna call this player interact with object, right? And in here, this is gonna be running on a server, and I'm gonna explain this after. I'm gonna call this dash server, and I'm gonna create here another one, which is gonna be multicast. I'm gonna be explaining this in the following lessons while we're using server and multicast, but right now, just follow along. Right, so this one will need a parameter, which will be the item. Actually, it won't have no parameters. No, we don't need that because we're going to have those parameters in there. So we're going to be actually just calling this. And then in here, what we're going to do that is we're going to do a for each loop, right? So get the items, we do a for each. First thing we're going to actually do is we're going to do exactly the same thing. We're going to remove from the array because at this point, you're kind of doing the interaction. So it doesn't matter. Remember, we are removing from the array, but we still have the instance right here, right? So what we can actually do, I want to destroy the actor. And there we go. So for now, that is complete. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to comment this and say interact with object. With item object, and now on the character here we can get the, let me just make sure this I have some room to work with. I want to get the VPC inventory again. I'm just gonna call that player interact with object on the server, that event that we created in there, yeah, and then we can put it in here. And then we're just gonna put this following. So we'll run that, and then we'll display how many we have after that. Coming here, there we go, 0. So if you see that, so you got some instance in there. Let me see why that is not actually executing. Let's try an error in here, right? Okay, so I know what's the issue and what's happening. So we're gonna have to do let me create a function for now. So and then I'll explain what's happening. So let's create here a function, collapse to a function, yeah. So I'm gonna do here, I'm just gonna select everything, yeah. Just select everything, and we're gonna collapse this to a function. The difference, guys, between an event and a function is the event runs in the event graph, and a function runs inside a block of function. Event, they are very good to run on the server and multicast, but they are not very good. But functions, they are not really nice when you have to execute stuff on the server. But I'll get to that later. For now, let's collapse this to a function. Let's call this function item interactor, right? And let's open up that function so nothing has changed. Let me do something like this for now. So I want to store this item for now as a local variable. I'm going to call temp item ref, which is reference. And what I'm going to do here, I want to make sure that this and that is unticked. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put the reference of this item here and the reference of this item here, right? And now here, let's see what's gonna happen when I press play. So coming here, let's try with 2 items first. Let's press play, and that should delete the items, which is nice, yeah? So if right now, if I'm on the middle here, I delete that, delete this, the items are getting deleted, which means that we are interacting with those objects with no problem. So in a minute, we're going to be using these to, you know, you come in here, you get the item, get the item there, get the item here, and interact with the player, which is a nice thing to do. So yeah, so for now, guys, this is all. In the next following parts, we're going to be doing now the UI and a couple of other things. So thank you very much for watching. Once again, this wasn't a very complicated thing, but if you got lost, just go back, rewatch a couple of things, understand why we're using blueprints and interfaces, just get the difference between, you know, what's a blueprint actor, what's a blueprint interface, because everything starts to come back together. So I see you guys on the next one.